That's when I ran into Kanye and started documenting him. And then it led me to meet my brother from another mother, Chike. And from there out, when we did the first video Through the Wire, we was like, man, we got to work together. And we, started the business and did everything together. Coodie and Chike, creative control.
About it in partnership is like you got to really learn how to put your ego to the side.
And like, Chike, I just met this dude, Barack Obama, that want us to do this commercial. Chike was like, nah, man, I don't mess with politics, man. I'm good on that. I was like, oh, okay.
With us is two of our friends and brothers, Coodie and Chike, who are just very, very incredible. They're just inspiring, and what we do on this podcast is bring people from all different walks of life and who started business just all different types of ways, and we thought it would be just amazing to bring them up here and talk about some of the things they did.
So maybe tell us just about what kind of growing up, what it was like, just, a little context for, and moving into how you guys met.
Okay, well, we got two different backgrounds. I'm from Chicago, born and raised. Came up really in the streets of Chicago, probably like you, Mel, somewhat, I guess, you know what I'm saying. But then I had a dream of doing things. I used to take radio, TV in high school. But yeah, like I say, we were still in the streets, but we had the radio, TV that gave me, that showed me things. My sister was taking it, and I was learning how to work the cameras and doing all of that in high school. And then after that, I started doing comedy after high school because I was funny. I knew I was funny. I used to, disrupt the class, how the teacher would say, but I have everybody.
You actually funny, or you thought you was funny?
I was actually funny. To the point where I said I'm gonna do an open mic. So Bernie Mac, if y'all know Bernie Mac. So Bernie Mac would do an open mic at this place called the Cotton Club, and I said, I'm gonna go up, I'm gonna write some jokes, and I'm gonna go up there. And how God works for me, it was like, I didn't know what I was doing, I was nervous. The guy before me, he bombed, right? So he just like, nobody laughs, so he's like, I'm off the stage, I'm getting off, and he just left the stage. Bernie Mac went up on stage, I'm about to go on. He was saying what the guy should have done, but he was really talking directly to me. So I'm looking at Bernie, okay, and do what? Okay, bet. Went on stage and rocked it, and from there on I was doing comedy, but I realized that wasn't my passion because I had a TV show, Channel Zero. Yeah, did y'all see the movie Jeen-yuhs? Anybody see that on Kanye West?
Well, y'all haven't seen Genius neither?
Yeah.
Kanye West, the documentary on Netflix.
Right.
Like
Well,
40
you haven't
people
checked
saw
it out. You haven't checked it out, but which a lot of that story is in the documentary. But I started doing Channel Zero, hosting, and then I fell in love with the camera again. That take you back to high school, and when I did that, that's when I ran into Kanye and started documenting him, which led me to New York because he moved to New York, and then it led me to meet my brother from another mother, Chike, and from there out, when we did the first video Through the Wire, we was like, man, we got to work together, and we, started the business and did everything together. Coodie and Chike, creative control, which is this shirt right here. The CSCs was Coodie and Chike. Then when we started the production company, Creative Control, we was like, let's just use that as a logo, and that's how we did it.
So your friend, read somewhere, your friend Danny, he was the one who approached you about doing Channel Zero.
Channel Zero, yeah.
What was that like a public service channel? You was doing comedy, you never did it before.
Yeah.
What made you say yeah? Or did you say yeah immediately?
Well, I mean, yeah, when he was like, I want you to host it, because being a comedian, you thinking about, like, the person that inspired me was Richard Pryor, period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I watched JoJo Dancer, the movie he did, and I was like, if I do what he did, but I don't do the stuff like the drugs and all that, I can blow up. You know what I'm saying? And so I looked at that.
I mean, he did blow up on
which
fire.
Mike, that's one of Mike's things. Mike said, don't do drugs and save half your money. He gave us that advice before Mike. But
that's why we kicked him off.
Right. Exactly. So when Danny approached me about doing that, of course I'm like, perfect, and we just was going out, and I just got so passionate about it.
You remember your first, because what you was interviewing more rappers, right?
Yeah, we interviewed whoever though. We interviewed
You remember like your first 2 interviews?
first 2 interviews. Well, I'm gonna tell you what made
Or your weirdest interview?
what made
What was your weirdest interview?
The weirdest interview was Busta Rhymes, right? So now mind you, we was like, okay, we're gonna start this show. So we used to sneak in the concert. So we just had the camera, sneak in the concert. So we snuck in and shot Busta Rhymes on stage, but then we went backstage and stood by his dressing room and waited for him to come out to do the interview. And he came out and he was salty at it. I mean, he cussed us out. He was like, erase that tape. So we had to erase the tape, and that was VHS, as you know, the VHS times where the only way you can erase is by recording over. So we put the camera to the ground and recorded over, and he was cursing us out first that you can hear.
Yeah.
And then he started giving us advice and all. So we aired that episode. All you can see is the floor and hear Busta Rhymes talking. Then we'll go to the concert footage and back, and then we put it in the barbershops. Danny used to cut hair.
Yeah.
There was this barbershop in Bellows Swing. That's where Kanye would come get his hair cut. That's how I met him and got cool with him. And Danny would play it at the barbershop, and everybody would go crazy, over it. And we'll put it on public access, like you were saying, and it just started blowing up. And one of the other one was with Bow Wow that went viral. You see the Bow Wow one?
I seen the Bow Wow one,
I
but
call him a girl.
nobody at Irby watches, anything. So tell them about the Bow Wow one a little bit.
It was a clip where Bow Wow was a little boy. I didn't know. I thought he was a girl because he was like, he was cute. You know what I'm saying? He had hair all down. I'm like, oh, you are so cute. Look at you. You're the cutest little girl. And somebody was like, and pardon my French, but somebody was like, that's a nigga, man. I was like, oh. But yeah, so that actually went viral later on in life, of course, and then we put it in the documentary.
Mind you, Bow Wow was like a 10-year-old confused
Right.
little girl at this point, I guess.
How about Chike? Let's talk about his start.
Man,
how you got there?
Well, I grew up in New Orleans,
Yeah.
and probably like every kid in my neighborhood wanted to play basketball, and I held on that dream all the way until like high school. But I always was doing stuff with my hands. I was always designing stuff. So my mother was like, "Well, the only way I'm gonna let you continue to play sports is if you would go to art camp in the summer." So like I'd go to art camp every summer to help continue going to sports camp as well. And so, and luckily she did that because that's the thing like I held on to. I ended up going to art school, Savannah College of Art and Design, and I got really fascinated with music videos at the time. That's when Hype Williams was doing like really dope music videos. Busta Rhymes, and Missy Elliott, and this other Chris Cunningham was another director that was doing some really dope stuff. The Apex Twins, and so it was like a lot of cool videos. But I noticed in hip hop videos, so I went to this. My mother sent me to this private school because she's trying to give me a better education in that school. I was probably like the only maybe 2 black kids in the whole school. So all my friends were listening to like alternative music. They were listening to like Tool and like heavy metal, like Megadeth. And I was really into rap at the time still. And New Orleans is a huge bounce music scene. So I was really into that. But I noticed but their videos they were really creative. They were doing like stop motion animation and stuff from like the Tool videos. And they were like pouring champagne on girls in like the hip hop videos. So I was like, man, I would love to do videos that would take the animation and the cool stuff from like the alternative music and put that into like hip hop videos. So that kind of became a passion of mine. I took that to college with me. In college, I started shooting like little music videos, just remaking videos, like remaking a Biggie video or whatever. And then my goal was to get to MTV because I knew at MTV I'd probably meet like an artist and get into music videos. And the wild thing is that's like exactly what happened. Like my first job
How did that happen?
I mean, I get it. I can only give it to him, but I think I just in my subconscious I put so much energy into it that I was just moving in that direction the whole time, And so when the opportunity presented itself, I was ready. And I had an interview at MTV with the art director there, and motion graphics was my major in school because I loved film, but I liked graphic design. They were shooting more film in that department than they were shooting in the video. They were still shooting a lot of like big video cameras then, but they were actually shooting like on a Russian, the old Bolex cameras and the motion graphics. So I'm gonna stay in motion graphics, which was perfect. So I ended up getting a job at motion graphics and packaging different shows at MTV, and sure enough at MTV, that's where I met Coodie, I met Kanye, and we ended up doing Kanye's first video. And
Through the Wire was the first thing you guys did together.
Yeah. Through the Wire.
Pretty epic.
Crazy video.
Pretty epic. Yeah.
Kanye West is a rapper, and Through the Wire was like his first single.
Oh yeah, that's it.
He doesn't do real estate.
He tried.
He did try. We'll get to that soon.
And
But,
we did that for a minute. Like the music videos, we had a little run, but like that wasn't really Coodie's passion. That was my passion. Coodie wanted to do films, so
Actually, my goal is when I read this book, Keys to Success by Napoleon Hill, it said at the beginning you have to have a major purpose in life. So I wrote down, I'm gonna own a network. This in 2001, and still don't have a network yet, but
we had one.
we're gonna get it. We had one before,
had one
but
for a
we
little
gonna
bit.
get it because you can. When you can see it, when you visualize it, it don't happen in your time, it happen in God's time. So, we still working towards it, but that was the major purpose. I was like, and then in that book, that was 2001, the World Trade Center just fell. I moved to New York August. World Trade Center went down September 11th. I picked the book up because somebody gave me the book. As I'm reading the book, I realized at the time that I couldn't even read. I'm 30 years old, and I'm reading this book, and I'm like, initiative, I didn't know the words, so I had to get a dictionary. I'm reading and learning how to read while I'm reading the book. But when they said that, that's the first thing it said. I wrote the network, and then in this notebook pad that I still have, you see all these words and definitions of the words after the network. You know what I mean? So I seen visually what that was. Then it said you had to have a mastermind alliance. And I'm like, okay, Mastermind Alliance. Then I started meeting people like Chike, who worked at MTV, and I'm meeting like Snoop, who worked at HBO, and I'm like, oh, this will become my Mastermind Alliance, and, meeting Dave, meeting Mel, and like, it's just it's gonna happen, you know what I mean? But that was my major purpose. It is my major purpose in life, and y'all probably can all help me on this. Y'all be my Mastermind Alliance. Come on, let's go.
It's so crazy because like that's what Business Untitled is all about. You know what I'm saying? Like he just said he really figured out at 30 years old that he couldn't read and picked up his first book and learned to read. And I won't say how old you are, but let's roughly say 30 years later, he, has done some of the greatest film documentaries we have ever seen and is doing amazing things. One of the first things I seen other than Through the Wire, which I didn't know you at the time, was you guys did the Stephon Marbury doc, right? Talk a little bit about that. How you even got into that?
Well, that was wild because it wasn't even on our radar. Like we weren't even. I think at that point we were looking to transition more to scripted, like feature narratives, and so. But we had just done a doc on Muhammad Ali and Martin Luther King, and so the executive producer of that, Jason Samuel, he was working with another executive producer named Nina Bon Jovi, who was partners with Forrest Whitaker, and so Nina was good friends with Stephon Marbury, and so she had hit Jason up like, man, we want to do this documentary. Do you know anybody that would be good to direct it? She's like, our agency wants this person, but we just want to see if we can find somebody else. And so based on our experience with that. With Martin Luther King and Muhammad Ali with him, he recommended us to Nina. And so we had one call with Nina. And at first we were like, dang, should we I knew Steph, but I didn't know the story like that. So I was just like, I don't know. Is this one that we, a lot of docs you do are their passion projects. So it's like you vested in it. You know what I mean? So, and we just came off for like Muhammad Ali. We were like, Muhammad Ali, Steph, I don't know if do we do it? And then, but we sat with Nina. And really, Nina was doing feature films. She did I Was Sorry to Bother You, and she just done, she did Fruitvale Station. She discovered Ryan Coogler. So we're like, well, the relationship is worth us, doing this just so we can figure out how to get into features. But then when we met Nina and then we met Steph, like, once we heard the story, when we sat down with Steph, it was just like, we understood why. It felt divine that we even all sitting here talking about his life felt so connected to our life. And then we heard his journey and we're like, oh, this could make like some real impact. Your story could. So
Right. What's that intersection like of like where you, in documentaries specifically, where you have an idea, okay, this is Muhammad Ali, everybody knows him, but then with something like Steph, where it just unfolds, right, and kind of grips you, like, I guess it's a little bit of both of those things, right? You have an idea, but sometimes something comes to you and it moves, right?
'Cause you don't know it. Like with Muhammad Ali, man, I can go online, I can Google it, and I can find everything. You've seen so many different Muhammad Ali stuff over Martin. You know the impact that they made. So with somebody like Steph, the type of impact is not so out front. You can't really Google Steph's story and necessarily find where the impact would be through the internet. You have to have a real personal conversation with him, figure out what he went through, what he's going through, like a therapist almost. Like the conversation is like a therapy session that you're having with somebody to really bring out all stuff and then figure out like, oh man, like your life story could really make some impact. It's worth us telling, not because you're Steph, but just because of what other people could take away from your story.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you guys have experiences where you think something's gonna, I'm sure you do, but like you think something's gonna be interesting, you put some time into it, and then you're like, no, there's like, this story doesn't resonate with me. Like, does that happen to you much?
That we did, like, well, I mean, I think everything that we do, we know is going to be, or we won't do it. You know what I mean? So
There's definitely stories that everybody thinks they have a story. Everybody wants a documentary. Like, everybody feels like their life and everything is important, which it is. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about it is, like, you had the thing that makes documentaries is not so much like how good something is as far as like how much success somebody's able to have. It's really like, it's all about the antagonism. It's all about like the darkest stuff that somebody had to go through, and how they were able to overcome that. Then that's when you have a rich story. Like, not everybody's gone through those types of things, and not everybody who has gone through those types of things wants to talk about those types of things. So it involves a lot of vulnerability, finding like, what is somebody going to be willing to be vulnerable? So like there's that type of vetting, and it's hard to find that type of story and that type of person.
Yeah.
we did a commercial though, that we wasn't proud of, and that's why we came up with creative control. We was like, man, we got to creative control everything that we do, because we came up with this brilliant idea for the company, and they loved it. But then once we turned that over, they let us direct the music video. But then they was like, well, no, we gonna do it the way we want to do it, and then wouldn't let us put our, because it was about our culture, and that's what we presented to them. And then they just took it, and from that point on, we was like, man, we got to have creative control. And I looked, and we looked to see if it was available. The creative control was available. We're like, oh, it's available. Perfect. So we did a LLC, for the creative control company, and we actually own the trademark for creative control and all things media too. So
that's a big deal.
Lesson.
Yeah.
Thanks to Kevin, you know what I'm saying?
So what was some of the, like, we talk about it a lot, and we ask a lot of guests about it. What were some of the moments you felt like, because we all know being an entrepreneur is kind of like, you know what I'm saying, and a lot more downs than ups, right? But those ups you hit, just kind of, always say, if you aim high enough and make up for everything else. What were some of the moments separately or together that you just almost gave up on your dream because it was like so crazy? Or maybe it just felt like it was the end and you had to go through it?
Yeah, I mean, I started what I just wasn't gonna give up. I mean, I remember my daughter turned 5 years old, and I couldn't afford to get the 5 candle, for the cake. And now we was filmmakers, we was doing music videos, but then we did ESPN 30 for 30 Benji, and it was just taking forever for everything to just turn over. So it was months and months of not making nothing, and we had to pay rent, and it was just like I couldn't afford that candle. But I had just had super faith, you know what I mean? That I was like, okay, what I remember, I was going to the grocery store getting ramen noodles, and it was so good. You know what I'm saying? I was loving the ramen noodles. I'm like,
I still love
happy to
ramen
get the
noodles.
big one. They had the big one too. I was like, ooh, they got a big one. But what it was crazy, this how God worked. My daughter, I couldn't get the 5 cake, but just so happened the neighbor had a daughter who just made 5, and then they just like the day before my daughter's birthday, the 16th, my daughter's birthday on the 17th, she came over like, you want to use this candle for her?
That's crazy.
Crazy, and then she had the 5 candle. God made that happen, but yeah, we it was a lot of struggle, period, in the business, you know.
And what about yours?
I think it's just like quit was never an option.
Yeah.
So there was never a time where I felt
But
like,
there's the moments you feel like defeated.
I think there's the moments that you second guess yourself.
Yeah.
You second guess like, man, am I talented? You know what I'm saying? Like, because you got such a confidence in yourself, you know, and that's why you embark on that path, you know, because you're passionate about it, and then you put in all these hours, and so over time, like, I know I'm good at what I do. I know, and I feel exceptional at what I do. So I feel like sky's the limit. But then in our particular industry, I'm sure in other industries, just in entrepreneurship, there's way more no's than you're getting than yeses. Like, things aren't getting greenlit. We've sent in so many treatments, so many ideas for film, so many things, and you're like, dang, if my ideas are good, then how come they're not getting, you know, picked? Or how come the companies don't want to greenlight it? You know, but all that stuff makes you just, it's not until you're able to take ownership of it in yourself and figure out what are some of the resources that we can use on our own to like try to bring some of our visions to life without having to wait on somebody to greenlight them. And a lot of that can happen with technology. Fortunately, when like the DSLR cameras came out, and we didn't need a huge, like, we didn't even need all this to create something. Then we were able to show people without what we can do. And then so we had created Creative Control online network, and it was just like, it started moving, you know what I mean? So it was like those times. And even after then, you still get the times when like things happen in life in general, you know, business. The Billy over here, we've done some amazing things. We've known this man for over 20 years and worked together. And we've had projects where in our 20s where we had created up in a corporation, QVC, and it's about to go. Like, our life's about to change. Recession hits. QVC's in a lawsuit or whatever, and it just go, and all that work just go, like, you feel like it goes down the drain.
Speaking of 20 years, that's roughly how long you filmed Kanye for, right?
Yeah.
First of all, that's fucking crazy.
The more.
21 years. You know what, Elon?
Go ahead.
I was going to say I was just going to give context on that, because I think what's amazing about that is that filming Kanye for 21 years, and he's from Kanye at 18 years old, right, to college dropout, right? Coodie's with him before that, to college dropout, you know, runaway, like all the whole story of it. But what was amazing to me about that as well was that they kept the control over that. And Kanye's a big deal as this is happening. This is what's amazing, right? And they never went and like had that loss of faith where they were like, okay, let me just take some money for this and like de-risk it. And at the end of the day, they had full creative control and ended up making a deal with Netflix, which I'm going to let them talk about for the U.S. rights. But that mentality is pretty amazing. I just want to highlight it because there would have been many times along that road to take some money and de-risk that thing and lose a little bit of control, right? So you want to talk about that a little bit? And then like just when you started Creative Control, maybe like how that came out of your initial togetherness on the Kanye Through the Wire thing, you know, and just how that formed.
Real quick before he says it, because he's super humble. He never really gonna talk about, like, he was obviously he had spent the most time with this footage, and he was the one who had the whole vision to even do this in the first place. But when it came down to that negotiation process, I mean, you got like, we're partnered with Time Magazine, you know what I'm saying? Time Studios, but Time. We're partnered with Time. We're talking to every single network is courting us. And it's a different type of, I've never experienced anything. It's a different type of court shit. You know what I mean? It's like, there's a lot of intimidation going on. It's A24. People are threatening, like, you courted us and you promised us, so we'll sue you. Like, there was a lot going on. And at the end of the day, though, and everybody's ready to just kind of, you know, we had investors that had put up money, time, and invested some time and allocated some resources. So everybody's at the point where they're kind of like, we're just ready to get off, you know, let's just get this thing off, you know. But Coodie's just like, it didn't. I'll go. He's like, I went this long. I'll go another 15 years. Like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't. He had a lot of integrity when it came down to handling the business, and he managed that whole deal when it came down to, like, I'm talking about people that do this for a living. You know what I mean? We're creatives. We're not really doing this type of business deals for a living, but he.
I just had to face.
Handle the business.
Handle business. Exactly.
Like, no, because like it was, you know, it was like big money too. You know, that we never seen before. Like, what? Like, they was like, you got to like Friday to make this decision, and I was just, it was like, no, we're gonna make sure that we own it first. We was not going to let nobody buy that from us. We own it. We had to fight for Kanye as well, because, you know what I'm saying, I'm behind the camera, he's in front of the camera, so we have to make sure that he's a part of this situation, even though he billionaire or whatever, but, you know, we got to make sure of that. So it was a big fight in work for that, to make sure he was getting what he needed to get. And then of course with him, you know what I'm saying, I had to really, you know, it was a trip. That's when I ran it to you. I was out there. It was y'all don't understand, God.
We gotta give a little bit of that story, man.
I've been to DR. I fly in on this little cage. Like, well, put it like this: we just got the sizzle made, right, for the movie. So I'm like, I told Tom, y'all got to trust me. We cannot get Kanye until we have a movie, until we have something. So the sizzle came in, a rough cut, and then right after that rough cut, Kanye called me the next day after the rough cut, out of nowhere, like, I want to, you know, is it okay if I use some of my mother's footage for this Donda album I'm working on? I'm like, yeah, but I had the rough, so I'm like, well, I got something I want to show you. And he was like, okay. I said, I'll fly wherever you at, let me know. And he was like, all right, but we got disconnected, and he called me back. When he called me, his security called me like, Mr. West would like for you to come to DR tomorrow morning. And I was like, tomorrow morning? I said, well, I might come in the evening tomorrow, but they're like, no, the plane's gonna leave. And I'm like, you know what, this is important, bet, I'll be there. So I get there, I get on this jet, little small jet. It's about like a bunch of us on this little small jet, so we sitting like this. Somebody sitting this way, I'm sitting this way. And God, it was so much going on. So when I land, whatever, CA, and you know, people just treat you a certain way if they don't know you, or they're like, who is this person? So I'm just being treated bad, and I wasn't tripping. I was like, whatever. And then the next day, the owner of the house, which was Mike Novacrat,
Guy we kicked off the show.
So Mike come in, right, and they like, cause they kept saying, they put me in one of the houses that nobody stayed in the whole pandemic. So it's like mildew, smell it. I'm getting sick. I had to go back to the house with the main house, and then I told her, I said, well, I can't stay in that house. They're like, well, you can stay right here on this chair. I was like, oh, okay, that's how y'all gonna be, right? Well, long story short, the owner of the house come in, which I never met, which was Mike, with Dave. I was like. Dude, it was like, I was like, thank you. The day was like, Coodie, what you doing? We what's up? And then Kanye was like, but y'all know each other? We was like, yeah, man, we go way back from Paris and all that. Kanye was like, look at God. That's what Kanye said.
Because you was about to be on that chair.
Man. And everything
God and
changed.
Dave saved you.
Everything changed from that moment. You know what I'm saying? I was treated well. We was kicking it. And then y'all seen him in the film, in the third movie in the film. But I like, he asked me to go to dinner. Kanye didn't. All I heard, I'm sitting there talking to the hotel, like texting, and I heard, you asked him. Kanye said, you asked him, right? I'm like, I look up, Dave come over and was like, hey, you want to go to dinner and drinks with us? I'm like, oh, let's do it. So I said, I'm going to bring the camera. He was like, bet, come on.
So the backstory behind that was the moment Kanye almost got into real estate. Yeah. He went to the DR because he wanted to, you know what, Dave, you tell the story a little bit. How did y'all even end up in the DR with Kanye?
So he had all paid for himself and now he could go to solid house and wants to project his flat house. So he started these create Yeah. You worry about this. That why not the okay. Yeah. Well, so it's not hard to sort that. Yeah.
Father lives in the Dominican Republic, if I'm not mistaken, and called me up. He's like, I got to see your friend's house. Can you get me in? I'm like, okay. This is, Coodie's still back in the U.S. We don't even know this is going to happen. Of course, we knew each other. And by the time Kanye got to Mike's house, he's like, can I stay here? I'm like, Mike, can you stay here? And like, all right, let's go down. So we flew down, and but that was really the essence of it. Was he was trying to find properties at that point in time that he could kind of execute this creative vision, which had to do with like community around music, gospel, art, and things like that. And it was interesting. Of course, working with Kanye's got its challenges, and nobody would doubt that. Coodie knows that better than anybody, but that's really where it started. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell this part. He moved all Mike's furniture out the house.
That's right. That's true. True.
And when Mike showed up and was like, where's my
And took the
furniture?
master bedroom.
Oh, and took
Right.
the master bedroom. Took the master bedroom, moved all the furniture out the house, and told Mike he's a minimalist.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
So then Coodie got kidnapped, but we won't talk about that here.
Right, really. No, it was crazy though, but they wanted me to go to Wyoming, So matter of fact, so we all get rooms at the hotel, and I hit Kanye because he said he wanted to work out with me. So I hit him in the morning. I said I'm about to go work out. He was like, man, I'm in Florida putting my name up for the ballot to run for president. I'll be back in 3 hours or something. I'm like, what? Okay. All I said was, if you can conceive and believe, you can achieve. That's what I said.
Yeah.
I ain't know what else to say. I'm like, so I hung up, and then next thing I know, security, they like, you have to go to Wyoming. Everybody got to pack their things to go to Wyoming. I'm like, what? I paid for my own room for 2 days, right? So I'm like, no, I'm staying. I'm not leaving. You have to go. I'm like, I'm not going. I don't work with nobody. I'm gonna go when I go. I just, I said, if y'all want to, because they gave me a commercial flight to fly back. I'm like, if y'all want to, cancel that, I get my own flight. They was like, well, they might shut down DR and you're gonna get stuck. I said, if I get stuck, look how beautiful. I'm like, I'm good. It's beautiful out here. And they was like, whatever. So I'm like, well, I'm not going. And then everybody, everybody that worked for him had to just pack up and leave. It just didn't matter, right? So I hit Dave. I said, man, Kanye and they all leaving. I'm gonna be here. I said, if y'all want to go see y'all was going to see the houses. I was like, if y'all want to go, and they were like, no, but if you want to come have dinner with us, you can come by. And then Dave was like, we leave tomorrow. If you need a lift back to New York. He said a lift. I never heard that before. Lift back to New York, and I wound up flying back with Dave and Mike
On a real plane.
We kicked it that night
We
too.
did. We kicked it that
ball
night. Came back the next day. It worked out perfectly.
Oh no, it was the architect that got kidnapped.
He got kidnapped.
he got
He got
kidnapped.
kidnapped. That's a whole
They
other
tried
story.
to kidnap me.
They tried to kidnap him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about like early days of Creative Control and like how you guys, like the synergy between you guys a little bit. Maybe like what I know, different roles, but how you manage the creative process, because you're both extremely creative, of course. And does that ever result in any tension? Is it just collaboration? What's that look like?
I say it's real pure collaboration. I think because we both understand each other's strengths and respect each other's strengths. I know what he's really good at. He knows what I'm really good at. And so like Coodie's amazing with timing and beats and storytelling. And I think a lot of that comes from his days as a comedian, because if you're not good at timing, you get booed by thousands of people. So I think he was forced to understand timing. And so and I trust him, you know what I mean? And vice versa. And the Creative Control days was really fun. It kind of was a period where we created in Tribeca. We had partnered with Dame Dash, and
Hey, I just love crazy black people.
I know that's what. Yo, we've dealt with. That's one thing about from Dame to homie at Echo, like moguls and strong personalities. But I just think it's good. The more types of personalities you can deal with, it it just helps you in life. If you can deal with those people, you can deal with anybody. You know what I mean? And but it was a beautiful time. I felt like it probably was like when Andy Warhol and them had the studio back in the day, maybe the closest thing that could have existed at that time. So we had, everybody. It was everybody from like the Black Keys to Mos Def to Erykah Badu to Lenny Kravitz would be downstairs jamming at any given minute, and they were out there capturing it with cameras and putting it up the next day on the network, and they were breaking artists like Currency and Styley and Big Crit, and they're getting deals coming out you know what I'm saying? So like we have our hands in really shaping culture and giving opportunities to a lot of people that are just looking to be creative and free and do it in a very entrepreneurial way where like they're not signing to labels, they're just trying to orchestrate deals where they can just get their distribution but not signing these 360 deals, you know what I mean? So we were just, and then we kind of started getting back into the music video stuff again because we could do it on our own terms. We had cameras, we weren't writing treatments anymore. Like I remember Gil Scott Heron, before he passed, we did a video for him, and the label, it was XL Records. They asked us if we wanted to do this video, and we're like, yeah, of course. But we're not gonna write a treatment because we know how that we never get treatments when we write for them. So we had these cameras, like we're just gonna shoot it. And if y'all like it, pay us for it. If you don't, we're gonna put it up on our own network. And that gave us so much leverage, just being able to position it that way. They loved the video, so they did buy it from us. Now in hindsight, we probably should have licensed it, but you know, but whatever. It was still like just being able to like take a different perspective on how to achieve something, have the resources to do it, not even needing like crazy resources to do it, but just being really creative about it. It put us in a completely different position. It put us in a different position with that network. And then we were collaborating with different young creatives, had internship opportunities that we gave. And so many people, you know, Salehi was an intern.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at that
That's
time.
crazy.
Like so many people came from out of there that are doing crazy things right now.
So who created this space? Was it
It was
Dame
a
and Dash, or was
a
y'all,
combination. So Dame we had the website Creative Control. So we had we had spent like our last money on getting this thing built, right? So we had like the infrastructure and everything there. And Dame was trying to turn his magazine America New into a network. So he's like, well, let's just partner. You already got the interface and everything. And it's like, the way he just moved, the way Dame moves is insane. And I've never seen anybody, and maybe it came from his time with Jay and just what he learned at that time. But the way he moves into spaces and get into spaces, like he had got us a spot that he was doing his car. He had a car dealership with somebody at one time at this spot in Tribeca, but it was sitting there dark. So he just went and negotiated with the guy. Like, man, it's dark. Let me get it popping. At least I can put my brand on it and get whatever. We had this spot for almost like a year, rent free. Like,
It was crazy.
Dame was dealing with the headaches, so I don't know what he had promised, because at some point we had to get up out of there quick. But at the end of the day, though, we got so much content out of there, and we created this space that was a very magical moment in New York. Like, so many people started visiting New York to visit. Like, they would go to Statue of Liberty, and I got to go to DD 172. Like,
You guys ever getting any spats about anything? Have you guys ever gotten any disagreements about like
for sure.
like no, with each other? I'm saying on like a project, like you want to do it, you don't want to do it, or some. What's the one that stands out? If there must be something.
Well, it was one. It's cool. I tell this story.
which one?
Clothing line.
Oh, yeah.
So it's what with.
I thought you was going to tell the other one, though.
Which one?
Tell that one.
Obama.
Tell the
I'll
other
tell the Obama one too. I'll start with the Obama one.
Yeah.
So I was in Chicago, and my homegirl was like, "I want you to meet this guy. He running for Senate. Come over." And, and it was Barack Obama. I don't know. Hey, how you doing? What's up? And, I think Michelle and all the kids was there. Whatever. It was at this place called MacArthur's on the west side of Chicago. So I meet him. What's up? And then she was like, "Yo, you can do his it's after Through the Wire." So she like, "Yo, y'all can do his commercial." For him running for Senate. I was like, oh, okay, yes, that sounds dope. I was like, Chike. I kid Chike. I like, Chike, I just met this dude, Barack Obama, that wants to do this commercial. Chike was like, nah, man, I don't mess with politics, man. I'm I was like, oh, okay.
He's never gonna be
all right,
anything.
bet. No, we good. Thank you. That was it. But he wound up running for president. But if we would have did it,
That Barack Obama.
He might not have won president if we would have did
if we did it, he might not have won for Senate.
Yeah, might not have won Senate.
Ain't no telling, but it was one time because Chike real progressive, and he like, he's a designer, he's an artist,
Yeah, I feel like I'm more an artist than I am a director of film. Like, you know what I mean? I'm into art.
Yeah.
So, but the medium is film, but it could change. It could be a canvas. It could be a clothing line, which is a perfect example for this conversation.
Right.
But he taught me something really important lesson that day as far as when you're trying to achieve goals and maybe the best way to go about achieving them. And you could explain it better.
Yeah, so his clothing line seemed like it was about to really blow up. You know, he got some partners in on it, you know, and I was just rooting them all like, let's go, you know. But then it was other things in film, like, you know, because we had to go. I thought we had to go doing the network, you know. I thought my Mastermind Alliance. So I'm like, you know, and then we did this music video, and we on our way from there, and I was saying something about some film, and then Chike was like, man, I know I said something about the network or something. He was like, that ain't my goal. My goal is I want to do a lot of stuff. I want to do clothing line, and I got this, and I got that. I want to do these yo-yos. I want to do, you know, that's my thing, you know. And I was like, I said, okay, bet. So we went to go meet with the lady about his clothing line, and it was like, it was funny because she told his clothing line, she like, this will never work, and right in front of me, and I'm like, see, right? So now we have no money, and we walking because we couldn't get on the train, right? So we walk into his crib in Harlem, right?
This is before the Barack thing or after?
This is
This before?
yeah, it was after. I think it was after. It was definitely after. 'Cause we lived in L.A.
That's when you should have put Barack on the screen and just stared him.
right. You know. But we walking from the lady to his house in Harlem, and as we walking, I was like, Chike, I said, where we going? He was like, to the crib. We walking to the crib. I said, yeah. I said, now we walking. I said, now you would say, like, you be like, man, I'm hungry. Let's go over here and go to McDonald's. I'm like, okay, bet. I'll go to McDonald's with you. I went to McDonald's. So we go to McDonald's. It's on like 66. We got to go to 117th. So then we steady walking, right? And he like, you know what? I got to go back real quick and pick up something on 96, you know, and I want to go get that. I'm like, oh, well, okay, bet. I said, bet, I'll go with you. We go back, you know, and we go there. So then as we still walking towards his crib, which is the goal to get to, you know, all of a sudden I'm like, he like, you know, I'm not even going to go to the crib. I'm not even going to go. And I'm like, wait, but I thought our goal was to go to the crib. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm about to go to the crib. You do what you do. I'm about to go to the crib. And I think that was something that was you know, we had to have we got the same goal. We got to move on that same goal. We can't, you know, stray away because that's the goal is this. And he was like, yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, the thing about it in partnership is like you got to really learn how to put your ego to the side. So like a lot of times that was a personal thing that was going, I could have let my ego get the best of me and just decided like, nah, I'm right. I'm gonna prove you right. We had put so much work together in trying to achieve this, you know, for something that kind of came into my life kind of quick, that was threatening everything that we had built up until this moment. And like, when you have a partner, you gotta respect their point of view. You gotta be able to understand when you're wrong, you know what I'm saying, and be able to admit that. And then, like you said, be able to figure out, let's realign and figure out what the goal is. And we got back on that thing. And now there's plenty of time. I could do a clothing line now if I wanted to.
Yeah.
I could do this now, but let's achieve one thing first to the maximum and then go to the next thing, you know, because otherwise he's like, we're going to be going in circles. We'll never get to a goal. We'll just constantly going in circles.
Yeah. Have you guys, and anything like that you've like kind of reinvented or moved, like with all business, right? Like you have to like always be up on new artists or new trends. You know, real estate, even in its own way, it's like styles change, things change. You know, anything stand out for you in terms of like how you guys have like approached that, or shifts you've made, or how you've kept up with kind of what's happening? And
I think for us is understanding how to put ourselves in position to get the projects that we want to get done, and realizing like the Genius Project was a huge part of that. Like, man, we just need to put ourselves in position to finish a project from start to finish. There's no more walking into a network or a distributor with an idea and a deck and telling them like, you know, do you guys want to do this? Like, we're just gonna get it done, and then and we're not gonna bet on them to even do it. We're gonna figure out our own way to get an option to distribute it, so that when we do meet with them, they already know it's happening, regardless of their. A lot of times you walk into in our field, if you walk into there and you have a project, 9 times they realize like it's probably not going to happen if they don't throw the resources at it. So they're in a position of just like, and then
Kind of go the album finish.
yeah,
Right,
exactly.
yeah.
It's the same thing in yours. Like, no, if you could finish your album and get it completed, and then, but on top of that, if you can figure out how to get it played at radio and already have that stuff kind of set aside, you got so much leverage now when you go to the label because you're not dependent upon them. So it's just trying to figure out can we not be dependent on anybody, and then that helps you make real partners. Because like instead of Time became a partner of ours. You know what I'm saying? Netflix ended up being a partner of ours. They weren't. I mean, we didn't end up working for Netflix. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you guys in the middle of this bidding war. That's what we call it in music. You guys know this. You know, what made you guys go with Time and Netflix versus everyone else that was kind of after this project?
With Time, we was already with Time.
That was already with Time. So what made y'all pick Netflix?
Well, Netflix is the world. We wouldn't have to deal with like, because, you know, I think like HBO and all of them are like, you know, the North America.
Yeah.
You know, and Netflix had the world. You know, besides China, we still got to do a deal with China. Because they don't have China, but we was like, it'll reach more people. It was about the reach. You know what I mean? It wasn't about the money, because we could have got way more money for this project if we went elsewhere, but it was like, we wanted to reach and we want to own it. You know, it's like all of that. So Netflix was the perfect partner, and it worked.
They gave us the most flexibility.
Yeah. Interesting how it's not like just a linear, like a one shot, like, oh, they give you the most money, right? Or they, like, there's a lot of things that go into that decision.
It was
With anything,
between,
right?
I want to say it was between Viacom and specifically Viacom because of Showtime, because there was a part of us that were interested in infantizing the whole thing like a pay-per-view, like a fight, and treat the whole thing like a fight, and do instead of and do a whole run where it's like where we could 24-hour programming around it, sell merch. I guess I still would have loved to have done that version or see, you know what I'm saying, what version of that could have been like if it would have been dope if Netflix had some kind of pay-per-view kind of thing initiated.
Yeah.
You know.
And y'all just did a licensing deal with them, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of dope.
Yeah, so it reverts back to us.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, like in any business, your business, that aspect of like when you build credibility, right, then you have leverage, and that leverage allows you to like really maintain like more control, more economics, but creative control, right? Like in yours is the same. If you have to like hustle, like when you started out, you know, hustling tapes in front of Universal, right? You got no leverage. It's just like, you know, and so it's interesting how you guys were able to build that. Because I think it's a little bit common to any entrepreneurial story.
Yeah, it's either leverage or the perception of leverage, but one or the other. You gotta have that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Now for the fun questions from me, at least. I read somewhere y'all made like $30 million off the Kanye shit. I don't know if it's true or not. When you realized you wasn't broke no more, what was the first thing you bought? Fun shit, not like, you know, I went and bought bonds. Like, I want to get something fun. You just was like, fuck that ramen.
I think you know, we just invested in ourselves. Like this next doc we doing, Ernie Barnes documentary. That's probably the biggest thing that I've spent any money on, is this building this. You know, because now we able to, you know, do it ourselves. You know what I'm saying, financially. So we started with Ernie Barnes. So that's like, we bet on ourselves. You know what I mean? So I think that's the biggest thing for me.
Still investing though, but you
And
had to buy something.
I'll keep all the faith to 100%. My fiance gonna kill me, but I probably wouldn't bought every single baseball, basketball card that I couldn't. I got lost in sports cards. They had like a site, whatnot came out. It was online. You could bid. They'll rip the pack in front of you. I felt like I was like that 12-year-old kid again, that I could actually buy the pack now. And I probably spend like $50,000 basketball cards and baseball cards. Yeah.
I know you got one of those, man.
I mean, my art, I had my art pieces I bought. A few nice. I got Ernie Barnes. I set up crazy. So, but I think that's that. But like I say, man, the most money I'm spending right now is on to do this next doc on Ernie Barnes. So.
Yeah, that's gonna be big.
What are some of the things you guys are working on in the future? I know you got the Ernie Barnes documentary,
We got
Kendall's Cross. Yeah.
I'm super excited about
What else?
that documentary. You know, we're really spending a lot of time right now on the network, like he's talking about, figuring out how can we put ourselves in position to just have an interaction with a consumer of our projects that we create and other projects that we want to shepherd in a network. But when we say a network, it's not thinking about it in terms of like, we don't know how it's going to look. It doesn't necessarily need to be as big as Netflix. You know what I mean? We just want the ability to, when we have a project, be able to market that project to a large audience of people and interact with them, whether it's through phones, whatever it is, and just trying to figure out the most resourceful way that we can create that right now, because that gives us that autonomy to be able to have the leverage. You can still go a distributor, but if every project, not just one project now, every project they know, and then the opportunities we can give. See, the thing with networks, there's not a lot of vision in networks. Every film that you usually see that's like an Oscar, like take like what was the film that they shot in India years ago?
Slumdog Millionaire,
right?
Yeah.
Well, that film, they would have never picked that film up if somebody tried to shop that.
Yeah.
Hollywood has to prove itself through the film circuit. It had to do all this stuff, but that film became one of the most creative, best films ever.
Yeah.
What's that Brazilian one?
Oh, you talking about
City
City
of
of
God.
God? Another one.
Yeah.
These types of films are the films when you think about film clash, you think about these films more than you probably think about like, Superman or a blockbuster film. You think about these more art. Those are the films we're into. We're into like giving other people opportunities that have these types of ideas that they'll die. They're just gonna die because the networks, they're too out the box for them. They're not safe. They don't check these boxes of safety for everybody that's working at a network to keep their job. They're not gonna take those risks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So not saying that there's not a space for those. There's a space, but there's a space for these other types of projects, and there's all these creative people that are looking for outlets. And so we want to be a conduit to be able to like take that work and put
Being around all this music your entire career, any of y'all ever tried to rap? Like nobody never wrote a verse?
I might have wrote a verse though. I definitely remember we was in the CD 172 because they were making it look so easy. Like Most was up in there on the mic, he'd get up and hit his. Then Stolly's back there writing his 16, he'd get up and spit. So there was a time when I was definitely back there like, I'm gonna see if I can get up here.
But what we did do was try to manage rappers. We like, man, we did this for Kanye.
Yeah.
We did it for like we did Pit Bulls, all his first bench roll.
Yeah. Joey's an artist that we
Joey
beginning
started to
Shaq's
manage.
Yeah.
got him, walked him into the label and everything. So
Oh wait, Joey Badass.
badass.
Yo, that's dope.
Did his first video. Did his first. I mean, really came up with a whole strategy behind Joey.
Yeah, but that didn't work out for us.
Yeah,
We filmmakers, we creators, and going to do that to manage was like the word.
Yeah, management is crazy. I had to get
It's
out
kind
of
of
that,
crazy too. So I'm like, I'm good on any of that. So we
Y'all ever watch any TV shows?
Yeah, 100%. We're working on some stuff now.
Like The Wire? We need another Wire, bro.
we got some.
We developed some stuff with CC Sabathia, so we got some cool stuff that we ideated with him. So we got stuff in the lane of scripted that now the strike has over, so things are kind of starting to. So we're hitting from anything storytelling.
Yeah.
Even to a brand, like that's what we do. So.
What's the core foundation of your business? If you have to kind of come into the end, and we're going to go to a couple of questions from some listeners. Like, what do you guys say? Like, if you're going to say what's the core foundation, what do you guys keep coming back to?
I say empathy. Like a lot of our work is about creating projects that can create empathy. It educates you more about a culture or a niche of something that you don't know about, that you can now have a different perspective on. Because if we all empathize with one another, I think it brings us closer to peace. Like you're less likely to kill somebody that you actually like know a lot about. And it kind of makes you care about them. You know what I mean? So that's what we kind of focus on. Can this project create empathy? Because through empathy, you can create impact. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
And trust God. Period. What all that we went through is like the only thing that I could think of was just say with things that were just coming in our face. It was like, I'm like, trust God. Period. When I said that, and Dave showed up.
I showed up in the TR. You'd have to sleep in a chair.
So that's definitely why.
But I'm reading this book, 38 Letters to My Son from John D. Rockefeller. And one of the chapters he spoke about just believing no matter what. And like I mean, you found Kanye and started filming him before Kanye even started rapping, right?
Right.
What gave you that belief in him, like, for all that time? Coming from Chicago, where there's 1,000 rappers, 1,000 beat makers that was way more lit than him at the time, what made you believe in him and kept believing even after Kanye was being Kanye?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's just like I see it. Like I think you somebody who believe in themselves so much
yeah.
could help you to believe. Like
he-
help you believe. I'm like, but it was just a domino effect of like seeing him at the barbershop. And he playing these beats and he played H to the Izzle, and I'm like, who is this kid with H? And then I did see him perform because he had a group called the Go Getters, and they performed at this thing, and I went. And I was like, oh, this the kid who got the tracks, but he was up there on stage rapping with them too. And he was so charismatic, and he was like, I just seen the fire in him. And at the same time, I seen Hoop Dreams. And I was like, how can somebody just follow these basketball players all them years? Like, I want to do something like that. And Kanye was the one. But then he moved to New York, and I was in Chicago, and I was going to do a documentary on Michael Jordan coming back to the NBA. Hoop Dreams, like I'm a documentary Michael Jordan, because his nephew told me he was coming back, and I'm like, oh, word. I went to Miami. I shot like Magic Johnson and a bunch of people. I was like, what if Michael Jordan come back? And I was gonna put this sizzle together for Michael Jordan, for his nephew to get him, and I get back to Chicago for Memorial Day weekend, and I get carjacked. Like, I'm in my car, and next thing I know, my door open, it's a 9mm to my head, and I'm like, and he was like, give me that money. And I'm like, what money, whatever. I had like $25. I gave it to him, $25. But he was like, I was like, take the car, whatever you got. So when he took the car, my camera, all that footage from my I was on stage, me and D.I. Cole, if y'all know D.I. from Blackish, but me and D.I. on stage, and Biz Markie is DJ, and Jermaine Dupri is on the mic. And while I'm on stage, Jay-Z walks up and start freestyling. I just turn the camera, it's Jay-Z freestyling. All that footage gone.
damn, that's crazy.
But then, because I just bought a condo, the insurance gave me everything that was in the car and the money for the car, a lump sum of money. And I took that money and I moved to New York. So
How
it
long was that
all of
carjacking?
those things, huh?
How long was the carjacking?
How long would
How
it
long
take?
ago did the carjacking happen?
Oh, shoot, that was
Before 2000.
Memorial weekend was what, May? I mean, Memorial Day is May. I wound up moving to New York when the money came in August.
Look into the camera and talk to this carjacker and tell him, if
Hey,
you return that footage
I
right now,
already
you
not
gotta
live.
check. We all want to see that footage.
So one of my guys was like, he was like, man, did you get carjacked? I said, yeah. He was like, yeah, because we was all in somebody's house, and dude was like, this one dude got killed. The guy who carjacked me got killed, and they was like, what all the things that he did, bad or something, he was saying, and they was like, he carjacked me.
That's
So he knew me, because he had a ski mask on, so whoever carjacked me knew me. Yep. So he said he's dead. I'm like, okay, so, but anybody who know where that footage is,
Any other pieces of crazy archives you haven't put out yet? What else? What other? Probably Kanye. You got some, but anything else that's just sitting back there that
Genius Project
comes to
Code.
mind? Yeah. You got
Pitbull, Artie Barnes. Like,
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
we
there's a lot of
documented
Erykah
Artie
Badu stuff that was
Badu. I documented Erykah Badu. It's a lot. There's a lot. Yeah.
John Legend. Stuff.
John Legend footage, bunch of that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
The RZA and RZA daughter Prana is my goddaughter, and she and her mom, they got a group called One Duo, and they like a country group like Judd, his mother daughter, and that's RZA's daughter, and my sister Takitha, which Takitha was the first lady of Wu-Tang. So I've been documenting Prana as a baby, and of course my daughter I've been documenting since she was born.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Ernie Barnes too, I guess.
Ernie
Right.
Barnes,
That's been 20 years.
20
right?
years, Ernie Barnes, 20 years, yeah.
Who's a really amazing artist that did the cover of Good Times and Marvin Gaye's album. Sugar Shack sold for $15 million.
I haven't seen that.
He's been
clip
filming
that
it for
went
20
viral
years. Huh?
With Eddie Murphy, when he was saying he bought a painting for $50,000 and now it's worth $16 million.
Yeah.
That's crazy. We need like a Irby viral course once a week to watch. Liv, that's on you. Make sure they watch everything viral. But yeah, that's Ernie Bonds. It was Eddie Murphy has this like clip that went viral. He was saying, you know, I bought this painting for $50,000 however long ago, and they offered him. He sold it for $16 million.
Well, he could probably sell it for way more than that, but Mr. Barnes did 2 of those paintings called the Sugar Shack, and the one painting that went up for auction for it was sold for $15 million, right? That was the one that was on Good Times. The one that's on Marvin Gaye album cover was the other one. That's the one Eddie on.
Yeah.
Oh, so he still has it?
Yeah. There's 2 of them.
Actually, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if he put that up for auction.
He knows, yeah.
Sometimes we do this at the end. I'm going to do a listener question.
Yeah.
All right. And then we'll wrap up with our little ounce of gold. So somebody said things have been growing great with their business partner, successful, but they've been seriously butting heads regarding the direction they want to take in the business. They don't want the business to go sour because the business is going great, but there's been a lot of headbutting. Have you guys had anything similar to that? And we kind of covered that, but like, what would your advice be in that situation, I guess, if that's the case? Business is going well, but there's just a lot of continual headbutting.
I would say just got to get rid of your ego, like he was saying earlier. You got to just let it go and see what's the best for the company. And like, because everybody want to win, but when you get rid of that ego, you start really listening and figuring out what's real.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that it just seems like they at a spot where there's got to be one of them has to probably have a real conversation with themselves, and then they have to have a real conversation with one another. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, it's like this stuff is kind of like it's like a marriage. You know what I'm saying? When you're in a business relationship, like not every marriage, just because you marry somebody, don't mean that marriage you have to stay in that marriage if you're not happy in the marriage. But you should put the time to really introspective with yourself to make sure is that the problem. So you got to find a deep rooted source of what the issue is. You know what I'm saying? And if it's one that, you know, it's that big of a problem to move on, then you should move on. But you should make that decision quick too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if it's not, then you need to both figure it out, be happy with that decision, and then get back on that goal together.
Great answer. You got anything else, or you want to move to? Come on, anything else? Or you want to move to ounce of gold?
We always leave the listeners, and in this case, the amazing people at Irby. Wait, I got a question for y'all before that. Since we here at Irby Real Estate, any of y'all got into real estate, like to any level, any degree?
No, I just bought
Bought a house.
You just bought a house in New Orleans, right?
Like when I think of real estate, I'm thinking like what you do with real estate. It's just very daunting to me. I can't wrap my head around it. It's something that I feel like I would, but I feel like it would take my whole career that I took to just figure out film to figure that out. But this just could be that's just a different sort of business mentality for me that I don't know. You know, I have the acumen for it.
Yeah.
But it's
What about you?
so important.
I mean, I haven't, but I'm looking into Ghana right now. So.
Oh shit, we was in Ghana together.
we were in Ghana together.
Exactly. So I'm going back out there on the 28th again for New Year's, but I'm gonna stay out there longer because I got some properties to look at. So I'm gonna definitely.
That's
Yeah,
a good
Ghana was
tip.
definitely
That's a good tip. Ghana's happening.
Yeah,
But I feel like real estate is like you have to figure that out at some point in your life. You gotta, if you can, you gotta figure out property. I mean, we play Monopoly a lot. That's my first course.
It's a good start. It's a good start.
Yeah.
The way I'm gonna do it is like I do my art. So I like whatever I get in the art, I like it first.
Yeah.
And I want to see it. I want to put it on the wall. And I
Yeah.
want to see it. And the same with, I guess, as I move into real estate, I'm gonna want to like it and live in it. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe at that point I'll start moving around, and then I have properties. And I guess I don't know how it works, but that's what I believe. I'm gonna do it that way.
We have thought about creating we used to call it the rec room, but creating spaces, maybe starting with a model whether it's here, New Orleans, Chicago, but a space really for mentorship. You know what I mean? A space where we can really train up a farm system of filmmakers and producers.
Yeah.
And like that's why the network for us is so important, because if we have the network, then it's like that schooling there, it doesn't leave somebody without an opportunity once we've trained them up. I know for a fact, definitely in docs, if you're interested in docs and you sit down with us and you're passionate, you're and you listen, we'll get you over the hump and you'll have a successful documentary and you can make a career out of it.
But I think in art too, period, because we did it. Actually, we started it with Billy when we was going to do the Boulevard, which was going to be a space where all these creatives come and we was going to film and sell stuff out of that space. But then we did it with Dame, with DD 172, which was a space. But now we're just like, we have to, control it ourselves, and that's one thing that, like I said, we're looking at.
And so create a situation where, like, after you poured into the youth or whoever it is, that there's an opportunity once they've gone through it. So there's not a worry about like when you go to college, you're still worried about, am I going to get a job when I get out of college? But in this situation, like, you don't have to worry about anything. Like, as long as you sit here, there's an opportunity waiting for you to get your work out, monetize it, have a career. You know what I mean?
So every time at the end of the show, we ask to leave our listeners with kind of one final piece of advice. We call it our ounce of gold. I'll give you guys each an ounce of gold right here.
Oh, damn.
All right, that's a real ounce of gold.
That's crazy.
Up there.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Dang.
So,
What? I ain't expect
Mike kind of told me that y'all do this though.
yeah,
I
got a
this
double
piece.
double trouble. It cost us twice this time, but
He thought y'all gave me this.
that's right, because it kind of looks like that.
This is fine.
So you're welcome. So
So
just
we got we doing another podcast next week. We got
every week.
So, but we want an ounce of gold from y'all for the listeners, and in this case, we want two, if y'all could provide it. What's your ounce of gold for the entrepreneur, the Irby employee, the Bojangles, the person that's on the come up? Just what's your ounce of gold for them?
I hope this doesn't sound too cliche, but it worked for me. From as early as I can remember, I had a belief in something greater than me. I call it God. Other people might, whatever you have a name for it. But I just think in knowing that there's a force larger than you, energy, we all are connected energetically. Thought is energy. Using that in a positive way, in a way that's the thing that if you fall down backwards, it'll catch you. You know what I'm saying? And having that much faith to know that it's gonna catch me, that got me through everything, every hard time, every adversarial situation. Just that faith. I prayed on it. I've been in rough situations in life. I think majority of my life as an adult, I would say I probably had 2 nickels in the bank. You know what I'm saying? Those situations. But I never lost faith in God to get me to the next opportunity. And just unwavering. I'm sitting in this apartment, there's an eviction notice. I'm going to figure it out. It's going to get figured out. Yeah. I'm not about to panic.
Not here.
Not here. But got through that situation. That landlord's happy with me still. You know what I'm saying? But just everything, looking at everything that you can get down on the things you perceive as bad that happen to you. But if you shift your perspective and you look at those things as blessings, that maybe they're happening to just shift me in a different direction, that I need to, everything bad that has happened to me was because it shifted me in a different direction. That was for the betterment of what I was trying to achieve because I had a goal. You know what I'm saying? Or I was ambitious about something and passionate about something. And so I promise you, I hate to say it's that easy, but it's that easy. You know what I'm saying? And you sound crazy saying that, but I would have told you that in that moment when I was the worst off, that that's the biggest thing that I'm going to hold on to that's going to get me through this moment right now. And it's always proven itself.
That might be a brick of gold. Let's get your ounce of gold.
I same as Chike, but I just would started with a story because we're about to put out Jeen-yuhs in theaters the following a week, right? The next Friday, and it's my birthday, right? And I'm at Bond Street, and I'm you know, everybody there, we drinking, we kicking. I took an edible. I'm just like feeling crazy. I'm feeling nice. I'm oh, that is the best time ever. And then I look down, and the president of Time, I see a text that says, "Yo, Kanye's about to put a cease and desist and stop this movie from coming out." I almost fainted when I read it. And it's like, right. And at the same time I'm reading it, I look up, here come the birthday cake. Happy birthday to you. I was like, right, so now I'm looking, and it was like, God tapped me on the shoulder, like, dude, why are you tripping? You see all these people in front of you that love you right here? And the lion is not about to chop your head. Ain't no lion in front of you about to chop your head off, but you worried about the lion right now. These are all the people, and I get you through everything all the time. So he said, trust me. And that's when I really started saying, trust God, period. And at that moment, I said, trust God, period. And I went and kicked it and had a ball, and of course the movie out, and you know, so it's to Chike's point, it's like, we have to trust God, and he gonna get you through it no matter what. So that would be mine.
That's great.
So how it
That's
should
amazing,
go.
you guys. Well, I want to just wrap up for my co-host Mel right here. He's gonna jump in if he wants. Mike's missing, but I want to thank these guys. Truly, I'm grateful for both you guys in my life. You know,
Same.
and you know, it's been a journey, and it's been really cool to be able to grow together, spend this time together. You know, learn from each other, and you know, you guys all know, like, we're all family here. You know, we're brothers, and it's been amazing building that trust, and I'm like so proud of like everything you've achieved, like just to watch, you know, from when we met in fact, and the talent was always there, everything was always there, but just to see, you know, how amazing you've built this business, which is no easy feat, right? In any industry, music, movies, documentaries, real, you know, it's a challenge, but in the movie industry, wow, that's not easy to put yourself together, start a company like that, you know, make it so successful. So I'm, you know, grateful to know you guys, really thankful that you came and did this Business Untitled podcast with us. We're so happy to have you here.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Mel?
And if Barack call again, you know what I'm saying? Please do this one for us.
Probably still might
You know,
be
when
the
I'm
same
ready for my
politics, still, like, I'm
documentary,
like,
just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hook me up.
That's-
But
got
nah,
you.
thank y'all for coming,
Appreciate
man.
you. Yeah.
Herbie, thank y'all for having me
guys.
again.
That's nice. Yeah.